lethal opinion.
Guys, on this very day, 14 years ago, on July 16th, 2004, there was a new game that came out, and it was Watch Dogs 1. Now, Watch Dogs 1, what is it? It's an autobiography of a gentleman named Aiden Pierced Navel. Now, this man, not only did he have a pierced navel, but also he was a hacker. And also his niece died, but that doesn't matter. He was a hacker, and
his
he
job
bad
was
guy.
to hack away at logs with his
Hack away at logs. He was a
yeah.
lumberman. Yep. And basically, one day he lumbered too far, and yeah, his niece ended up dying. This guy didn't like his logging, so he offed his niece.
Well, yeah,
and then Aiden was like,
he forgot to say timber, and the log just fell on her.
So then he's chasing down this guy who's killed his niece for the entirety of this autobiography game, which came in 2004. Whatever date I just said before I made up. Which is accurately 14 years ago on this day. But yeah, so that's what happened. And then you meet this old guy, then you just off him in the most boring way. But yeah, good times. So, Pertlight, tell us a bit about this game.
I love Watch Dogs. It's one of my favorite Ubisoft games. It fucking rocks. I played the entire game on stream over the course of a week. I beat it, and I will say it was really, really good. It's just as good as I remembered. I think if we're going to talk, because we're reviewing it, I think the best thing we should do is we should like take sections of it. I think we should break this up into the open world, the gameplay, and then yeah, the story. Which one do you guys want to start off with first? I'll introduce whichever.
I like the open world. I'm excited for that.
Okay, we'll do the open world first. I think the open world's mid. I think
Chicago.
Ubisoft has this really bad problem, right? Where every one of their games has to be the goddamn same. I don't know why they do that.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's not good marketing. But every one of their goddamn games is the same. Now, to be clear, this is right when this was basically the game that I think tipped everyone off that they were just, copying pasting the same exact concept for an open world game every single goddamn game. It's literally the same thing as Far Cry 3. And Far Cry 3 is the same thing as every other goddamn Ubisoft open world. So it's just like, and it's like, okay, so you climb to a tall tower to activate something so you can see parts of the map in which it reveals, a fast travel point, which is a hideout, and then little side objectives you can do, right? There's that. There is very little to actually see in the open world without, like, it being a part of a mission of some kind, right?
Don't get me wrong, I like that system, but I think I like it because I've only ever played the Far Cry games.
Exactly, it works one time, and then it's like, stop doing it.
It's a cool system. It's a genuinely
It
cool
is,
system.
but Far Cry has like little mechanics in place where it's like, oh, here's a cool wingsuit you could fly off this tall tower. Here's this. I think in some games it does work with the mechanics in that.
It with like radio towers, you take out propaganda, and that's how
and
you
I
would
think
reveal new
some
locations.
some in-game mechanics do complement that. I think Watch Dogs, the first one, not so much. Maybe that's a bit, a bit of a lethal opinion, but I don't know. I like as in, I love the whole aspect of espionage, hacking in, going around, which worked. It could work, but more of like that still generic, but that very much that base kind of system where you take over a base and that, and as opposed to trying to get to this one point, which is like a tower kind of esque thing, those little CTOS little things. I think it could maybe be implemented in a better way. But yeah.
Well, like, here's the thing. I think, which is what I was going to get into, I think the CTOS towers in Watch Dogs 1 is the only time, and I mean this, literally the only time Ubisoft has ever done one of their tower mechanics and it actually worked. And the reason I say that is because every single one is a puzzle and you have to solve it. Now, to be clear, this goes from being piss easy with just using cameras, finding a box, turning it on, and then going. But some of them are a little more complicated where you have to find a correct entry point. You have to go around the building to a very specific spot, climb up this ladder, use the cameras to find another door, open that door, and then you have to go in through that door to open up another camera to open up another door. It's cool. It introduces the hacking mechanic to use that. You use that to open up all the CTOS towers. Don't get me wrong, there's way too goddamn many of them, and it's a rehashed fucking mechanic from Ubisoft, but at least it does something slightly new with it, where instead of just climbing up a long fucking tower and clicking a button like it is in every other one of their goddamn games, Assassin's Creed even, right? Like, you go up to the top of these towers with the fucking eagle that flies overhead. Yeah, you synchronize with it.
Hey, man, I like that. I like that just because of the
Okay, wait.
faith,
How many of the Assassin's Creed games have you played that you actually thoroughly enjoyed doing that, though?
Okay. AC.
Wait, hang on. You know what, actually, before you even answer the question, I'm willing to bet it's only like the first 4 fucking games.
Let me find out. Let me just count. I can't count that high, so you can tell me if it's more. AC1, AC2, AC Brotherhood, AC Revelations, AC3, AC 4 Black Flag, AC Unity, and oh, am I missing one? No, that's it. They're the only Assassin's Creed games. So basically,
I don't think you. I think you thoroughly enjoyed doing it the first few times. I think you're gaslighting yourself right now. I guarantee.
No,
you,
man.
Wait, listen. Hear me out.
I enjoyed it.
I think the only reason you liked it in Unity was because it was a new environment. It was the French Revolution. That's interesting, right? I get that. Maybe Black Flag, I can get it. I think 2 of those games you gaslit yourself into liking just because you'd gotten used to doing it. You're like, oh, cool, I could do this again. I'll run up there. Because it is a satisfying feeling to get to a top of a high thing in any game ever. You can climb a mountain in Skyrim, and it's satisfying to finally get up there, even though there's no achievement for it. But imagine wait, imagine if in Skyrim, when you climb to the top of a mountain, you get a big thing on your, which actually does happen sometimes. You get a big thing on your screen that says, "Woo, you did it! You completed the mountain climb." And then you hear a sound effect goes, "Dum, dum, 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 dum." And the camera flies around your character, looks all cool. You'd want to do it more, right?
Yeah.
I still stand in defense of Far Cry 4. Far Cry 4 did well, but yeah, no, the system is a bit. It gets nutted after a while.
I'm confused. You just proved that Assassin's Creed actually is fun because it feels cool to do that. I'm confused.
No. I'm saying the reason why you tricked yourself into liking it, because here's the thing. That's cool the first time you do it. Yes, You're right. That is true. I never said it wasn't, which is what I told you. I think the first few times you do it, it's fine. First game you do it, it's fine. It's fun because it's like the first time we really got to see an open world like that. Okay, I get that. That's fair. When you get, there's a certain point though where you're like, okay, this is the 4th game in a row where I've climbed up a goddamn tower, an eagle has soared above me and yelled at me for being up there on its property, and then I jumped down into a hay bale.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is kind of the game's identity. Like, isn't if it wasn't such a cool aspect
climbing
of the
towers
game,
and jumping into hay bales is not the game's identity.
we're gonna I don't think
in
Assassin's Creed is your strong point, so we're not gonna go there. We're gonna go to Watch Dogs again.
You're right. No, you're right. Assassin's Creed's not about assassins or doing cool shit like that. Not even remotely. It's about jumping off of towers into hay bales.
Okay, we'll keep this discussion.
What is that argument? Wait, no, what? I need to know what that argument is.
You're physically hurting me with this.
Oh, I don't get that argument. How is that the game's identity?
Wait, which ones have you played? Just so I know exactly.
I've played Assassin's Creed 1, but I never got that far into it. I played Assassin's Creed 2 and got relatively far into it. I've never beaten any of them, actually. I just want to make that clear. But I've played Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, was Revelations? No, that one came way later, didn't it?
Not really. It was not that far off. It's on Ezio and he's old. And he's like...
Yeah. Oh. So yeah, Brotherhood... Okay, so Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, Revelations, and Brotherhood, and Assassin's Creed 4.
And Black Flag is what you played. Yeah.
Yeah, so those are the ones that I've played. And I've never thought to myself, climbing this tower and then jumping into a hay bale for no discernible reason is... something I need in all the games.
I don't know. Maybe it's your different, kind of perspective from it. But me going into into the lore and properly just loathing that. Same with Halo. Those two, and basically those two main franchises I love. So like just the whole aspect of the parkour system, and actually, because normally in any Assassin's Creed game, you're gonna run around, you're gonna do parkour because it's sick, free roam, whatever. So why not actually climb a tower, do that, do a synchronized, eagle vision while you're at it, and then you actually can reward yourself while you're doing the game's core element, which is parkour. So at the same time, it's not because I tricked myself into liking it, it's because it's just another thing you could do while you're, using the parkour system, which is also kind of fun.
That doesn't explain how that's the game's identity, though.
It is, because the game's identity is parkour, assassins.
Yeah, but that's not jumping off of a tower into hay bale, which is what I was saying.
It can include that.
That's not part.
It can be
Sylas, I'm someone who in the 5th grade actually took parkour classes, and I can promise you, at no point did we ever talk about going up a tall tower and jumping into hay bale.
You'd probably die because it's highly unrealistic. But it's
that's not a part of the game's identity. Part of the game, the game's identity is doing parkour and committing assassinations on like politicians and shit in the ancient times. That's really what the game's identity, I would say, is. Dude, jumping off of hay bales is just a game mechanic.
Desmond and that coming along, but yeah.
Well, yeah. Sorry, my bad. You know what I mean, though.
To speak.
You've played Assassin's Creed games before, right, Brody?
No. I'm just listening to you two rant, and it's hilarious.
My point is, a game mechanic that's like.
Wrap it up. Yeah.
Well, this is my point. I want to end it here. A game mechanic that is has always been in the games is different than literally being the game. There's two major differences here, and one of them you can completely cut out and have nothing happen to the game, besides a cool little sequence that's kind of neat the first 100 times you do it, but after 1,000,000 it gets a little old, in my opinion. You can like it still, that's okay. My point is...
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. No, you finish.
I'll close mine off.
I was done there. I was going to move back on to Watch Dogs. I'll let you put your finishing point there.
Mostly it's just because of the symbolic meaning of a leap of faith, literally meaning it's actually the assassins and the Brotherhood putting all faith, obviously chopping off the thing, which they didn't really need to do. They could just move the blade a bit further away like Ezio did. But anyway, that doesn't matter. It's just the whole leap of faith into this thing to serve the light. Serve the light by working the dark, whatever, the little cool motto was. And it's kind of just putting all faith into it. So the leap of faith is kind of obviously one of the many trials into becoming an assassin. So and each assassin kind of does it sometimes unbeknown or whatever, like Edward Kenway, things like that. So it's kind of an aspect to which every assassin kind of goes through, which kind of, I don't know, it pays homage. So I think, yes, it is kind of a cool element, but we'll discuss later on. Let's get back to watching them dogs before they run away.
My point is, Ubisoft open worlds are repetitive. That's kind of what I was getting with. It's
That's
just
true.
Same schlop from Ubisoft. It's not a bad open world. There is some good aspects to it. Like,
I
dude,
love me a bit of schlop though.
Like, okay, I'll say this because I guess this kind of takes place in the other two topics we're talking about with this game. But like, the open world aspect of Watch Dogs 1, when you get to the halfway, or you get when you're in the last third of the game, dude. Oh my god, when you're getting into a police chase, because it happens a few times in the story, the police chases are so fucking fun. So Sylas and I, for context, we played some Watch Dogs 2 multiplayer for a little bit.
You looked like you nutted when you said that.
Because it's so good. The police chases are so fun in the game. It feels like a Baby Driver simulator. It's really that good.
Can he drive?
Bananas. So
was he slow?
Retarded means slow. Was he slow?
I fucking love that movie.
But
yeah, it's because when we were playing Watch Dogs 2, one of the things I hated was how they integrated hacking. It doesn't feel as fun in Watch Dogs 2. It feels like it's just kind of like a thing that they were required to put in there. Whereas everything else,
more with Watch Dogs 2 because I think it's
because I've just played the multiplayer for
like
an hour or two, right? I think the campaign will be
when
different.
you play the story, I actually was looking at some things. I'm like, actually, you know what? The coordinating aspects of it, I actually like now. Like, because then as a kid, I was like, oh, dude, cool with mask. He's got mask and emoji. He cool. And now I actually kind of understand it. It's cringy, but I love it. But we'll get to that more. It's just I think the first game kind of heavily relies on like this new system, and you got cameras, and it's like the second one you go into like, oh, you can zoom around and you can go anywhere you want with a drone with a thing. The first one's very just on the ground. You go through different cameras and you unlock things. I think both of which are equally as good, and I'm glad they separated each game with that, because I think obviously then you would have a Ubisoft thing. It's actually weird because we were just saying Ubisoft actually differentiated the titles from games. So I think the first one it works really well with the whole camera systems and like hacking. I think it's more of like a it's more of a kind of level based progression where you kind of have to progress room by room and step by step, because I think I don't know, it's just a different pacing compared to the second one.
No, I definitely agree. My whole thing though, just the second one, and it's actually exactly what you said. It felt like they cared less about, or not cared. It felt like they put less focus on the hacking and more on the aspect of interacting with the world. If that makes sense. You don't really hack that much in Watch Dogs 2. It's more about interacting with different aspects of the environment, like using your drone, using these things, using different like equipment.
Is that not a little bit more realistic in a way?
I'm not
Because
saying
you
it's a bad
wouldn't
thing.
be
To be
hacking
clear,
constantly,
I'm not
you know?
saying it's a bad
different thing.
It's a
not
different
bad
thing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
prefer the
no,
first
it's
game.
different.
I'm not saying it's worse or better. And one of my big things though,
No.
biggest thing for me is the police chases in Watch Dogs 1 felt so cool whenever you'd be driving and then you'd see like that little meter thing turn because a cop's driving by and they're about to run over a steam pipe, and so you have to wait perfectly and you're trying not to smash into shit while you're waiting for that thing to perfectly hit, and then it says neutralize, you hit it, fucking cop cars shoot up and explode, fucking you do a cool ass turn, there's 4 more cops that turn onto the same road you're on like fucking Baby Driver, and you're fucking swerving in between traffic trying to hit anybody, and then later on in the game, we'll talk about this more when we get to the story, but like then you get people who hack into your world, which can happen with the multiplayer, which was fucking cool as shit, and kind of wish we got to see that in Watch Dogs 2, which I don't think there was anything like that.
What's that?
In Watch Dogs 1, they introduced this thing where people could literally, it's like Dark Souls, where people could join your game and then fuck with you through like the open world. Like they can make shit like explode while they're chasing you down with police chasing them as well. It's really cool.
No. The Watch Dogs 2, they can actually hack into your car and like make you turn like as well. Or like there's like one thing, I think there's a mission in the second one.
Oh yeah, actually we did do that, didn't we?
Yeah, that's a bounty one, but there's one where you actually can go, like, you have to, like, act like an NPC while you hack into them, and they gotta try and find out who the hell is hacking them.
Yeah,
so you
that's
gotta try and, like, act as low-key. So it's a lot like the first one they've built upon. But, yeah, no, I like the first one. I think, yeah, in terms of that stuff, I don't know, it just...
But, like,
talking
specifically,
about
dude...
open world, it's just the noir kind of, like, edge to it, where it's just more darker, and I get both in their own respect. They have different art styles, which are both as good, but... The first one definitely owned, like, especially with the protagonist. I think it works perfectly with the whole edgy. Like, it's ironic. I don't know. I don't even know if it's like.
It's not even really edgy.
I don't
it's
think
more
they're
just
self-aware,
dark.
really. Yeah, it's kind of like they know it's really dark, and some of the things like he says are like, "This is so stupid, but it sounds sick as," because it's like it's literally just the Batman, but like before the Batman.
Well, I think it's because how, and I think they did this perfectly. I like how they wrote Aiden, because at first you're like, oh my god, it's so edgy, it's so corny. But then as you get through the game, you're like, oh my god, this is intentional. The game's trying to criticize Aiden. At least how I saw it. The game's not siding with Aiden. It's not saying Aiden's a badass for doing this shit. It's pretty clear Aiden's kind of a piece of shit, actually. It makes that clear throughout the game, and that's why there's something, again, we'll get to when we get to the story, but the last decision really shows if you chose to notice that throughout the story, or chose to be the dark, edgy douchebag that Aiden wanted to be. He's trying to be this vigilante. He sees himself better than everyone. He puts civilians' lives at risk numerous times and doesn't actually care about other life, but then pretends to give a shit. And then, throughout the story, he slowly starts to change, and he becomes more and more of a hero. He realizes how important that, all because he has this fucking ability, he needs to use it responsibly, and he finds that out at the end of the game. Or, he's like, no, I'm the knight. I will protect this city under any circumstances. And it's like, okay, you're a fucking dickhead. But I like that.
Yeah.
There's so many nods to Batman, especially like if you fail those, there's like crime, like probability missions.
Yes.
And, like if you fail them, he goes, I need to be faster next time. And it's like, bro.
I think they're
Like,
going back to the open world, because you brought up something, the crime probability thing. I fucking hated doing those missions, man. Oh,
yeah.
I can turn off the notification for Discord that just went off. But yeah, no, that shit is so goddamn.
It's a good idea. Don't get me wrong. It's a pretty sick idea. It's just the whole, I don't know, it doesn't really fit well with the kind of atmosphere and going, okay, you know,
Aiden's
kind of, I
not a
don't think
fucking
Aiden would care.
superhero.
He's not gonna care. He's like, bro,
Yeah.
I'm trying to avenge my niece. I don't really care about what's going on around me. He's very self-orientated, you know. He's like, don't care. He's off in his little world, this little vigilante world.
Brody, how do you feel about the open world?
Well, from what I saw of you playing it, it looked fairly interactive. Like you say, there's a lot to hack, so it makes for a nice little world. Because there's so many fucking games nowadays with open worlds that you can barely fucking interact with.
Oh yeah.
I don't give a shit how big it is. I want to be able to interact with it. And Watch Dogs is all about being able to interact with it as much as fucking possible, because you can break shit, force it to be at your will. You know, fucking make a car go the right way.
So for context, everyone,
I'm impressed by it.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say, Brody just woke up. You have this raspiness in your voice, Brody. I don't know why my brain thought you were trying to make fun of Aiden Pierce when you were talking. I know you're not. I don't know. I just thought of that for the moment. And then I just pictured, because I know what you look like, I just pictured you wearing
Wait, what? You know what he looks like?
Yeah, we've seen his camera on, remember? Oh, wait, no, we had an episode where we showed his face, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
The audience does know what I look like. I just don't like to show my
But
face.
just imagine Aiden, or
I'm an edgy hacker, bro.
imagine Brody dressed up as Aiden.
I don't like to show my face.
He actually looks like Wrench, just without the big. Have you seen Wrench's face?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, I know what he looks like. God,
He looks like he looks like a twink. Are
real
you saying
goofy.
that Brody looks like a twink? It's a little weird, Silas. I think we need to put Silas on.
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but
He
yeah. Man.
doesn't know what that. Oh, sometimes I forget how innocent Sylas is.
No, it's not innocent. It's just that it's not. I'm not weird.
I love every time we say something that's like
weird
common terminology, especially on the internet. And then Silas says, I don't know what that is. And we're like, you're innocent. He's like, I'm not innocent. I've said the slurs. I've said slurs before. I've beaten up minorities.
It's not
It's
weird.
the difference between,
And it's like, if
between
it's
innocent
weird
and
to
then
know
it's just
what a
like,
twink
why?
is, 99% of the world is weird.
I guess so.
Speaking of the world,
That's
the open world. Yes, I agree. One of the things that I was actually going to ask Silas about this. So, and I guess this kind of ties back into the whole Ubisoft open world thing. Because you have just started playing Skyrim on your channel, Silas. Go check out his channel. And while you were playing it, you were playing it by yourself at one point, and you DM'd me. Do you remember what you said to me?
no.
So I'm gonna pull this up. Let me see here, because it was one of
Why
the
you pull that up?
funniest things.
I don't even know how to what to do with that content at the moment because I've got so much footage of me just playing without a webcam or anything. And I'm just contemplating whether or not I just delete it and just start fresh. I'm thinking of it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of back.
I love when you say that. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Here we go. Oh, shenanigans, I'm displeased. Oh my god. Come on.
Yeah, this is just standard fare for the podcast.
Really is at this point.
That's what we gotta name the episode now. Pert has a stroke.
Aiden Pierce is beating up my body in the thumbnail. Okay, so I can't find it, but basically what had happened.
48 hours.
So Silas said, Silas DM'd me at some point. I can't find it now, which bums me out. But he DM'd me and was like, "Yo, dude, I was playing Skyrim, right? Hey, chill." So he was playing Skyrim, right? Sorry, my dog's over there. She saw the cat. She's sorry. Hey, Marley girl.
Marley's not happy.
So Silas playing the open world. You know, he's having a fun time in Skyrim. And then he tells me, like, "Oh, dude, you won't believe it. I walked into a cave, and I found a spider. And I fought the spider."
It was scary. man.
But wait, this is what was funny. But he's like, dude, it wasn't even marked on them. It wasn't even like a big thing. I just found a cave and went into it, and there's this cool thing going on. And I'm thinking to myself, how fucking far are we fallen, man? Like, because you've only really played Ubisoft-styled open world games where it's just blips. You go to here, go to there. You know, there's stuff to do, but it's always marked. It's always
No,
shit.
I play some really good open world games.
Besides New Vegas, can you name another one?
Terraria.
That doesn't fucking count. That's not even on the same league. That's different. But
Yeah,
it's
no,
like
yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Sylas. All you have to do is just talk to the Whiterun guards enough, and eventually they'll have probably told you that cave was there.
But it's just cool because it's just funny to me because then you go back and you play something like Watch Dogs, which in my opinion isn't a bad open world game. It's not. But it's just like this is why I think a lot of people shit on Watch Dogs 1. I think it was the open world. I think they saw all the cliches of Ubisoft finally starting to come up. And they're like, okay, this is like the same exact open world as Far Cry 3 and whatever the latest Assassin's Creed game was.
Yeah, but it's the same old open world.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Assassin's Creed has always been kind of an empty thing. I think they got away with it because of the parkour and how you move around and like traversability.
Which is what they did in Watch Dogs, in my opinion. They did with the cars and driving.
At the end of the day, though, cars, you want to, you can't really get away with it with cars. Like, as in, it was. I think the second one they fixed that. The second one, there's so many side missions and things going on. It's great, and like there's that many activities that you could play. Anyway, that's the second one. The first one, however, I think it lacked a lot. I think, unfortunately, in terms of the open world, don't get me wrong, it still holds up to this day. And as much to get shat on for like the whole E3 thing, yeah, sure, they sold lies, but it's Ubisoft. I think if you didn't watch that and you went straight into the game, you would just enjoy the game. I think it's just. Obviously, it was a shitty move, and obviously it don't look up to the standards. That's like one of the many reasons why you don't look into the trailers and that cough breakpoint. But like the thing is, it just I don't know, man. But thank God I got all my hopes up for that new Division game, which is completely not on the iOS device or anything like that. It's going to be completely console orientated Division game coming out. I'm really excited for that.
Any minute now we'll get Division Immortal. It's this mobile game.
There won't be no mobile Division game coming out, thank God. Just so excited to have more of my slop.
Yeah, so thank you, Marley. Thank you so much. Oh my God, chill, Jesus. Marley, what do you think about the open world? What do you think of the open world, Marley?
Polf, add something.
Just add something.
Polf, bark and put it in the video.
Don't do that. That is don't do that.
Don't
screaming violently.
Oh God.
What the hell? There we go. Okay. But yeah, so to kind of conclude this epic chapter of shittiness, overall we think the open world's fine. It works.
It's mid. Yeah, it's like you said perfectly at the start. One word. It's mid. Beautiful, but mid.
Yeah, the atmosphere though is so good, but yeah, it's just overall. Just the game's atmosphere in general, dude. It's so good. And you know what? I think that's a perfect transaction. Unless you guys want, I think we should talk about story last, because I think that's gonna be the longest part.
The ending is at the end.
Who to guess my fucking guess?
Deep in it.
I want to start off by saying that the gameplay is fucking amazing. It is so good, dude. I think it's better than Watch Dogs 2. We played Watch Dogs 2, and I could not fucking stand the gameplay. To be fair, so you know how in every other Ubisoft third-person game, you hold down the right trigger to sprint, and it'll also initiate a parkour system if there is one, right? I'll take that as a yes. So you initiate this parkour system, you're running.
I don't know this.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting you haven't played many Ubisoft games because you actually have decent taste. You played the first-person ones. So essentially, how it works in most Ubisoft third-person games, when you hold down this trigger, you run
Siege,
and you pull up. You start doing parkour as well. Like Assassin's Creed's the same way. So and in Watch Dogs 1, it was the same way. You know, you'd hold it down, and maybe you'd tap some things just to kind of jump over like bigger obstacles, but for the most part, you'd run over things. Watch Dogs 2, you hold down 2 different buttons that are like across the controller, and it felt like shit. Did Sylas crash, or is he just no, he's just sitting that still. I can see the yeah.
Oh, yeah,
fuck
no.
off, Sylas. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
just
busy.
Yeah, man.
thinking.
You're just bullying Watch Dogs 2, man.
I'm not. No, I don't think Watch Dogs 2 is bad. I just think Watch Dogs 1 is much better in terms of gameplay.
Okay.
Okay, wait.
disagree,
Going
but
into an
yes.
encounter with
I don't
20
think
enemies.
this game's bad. I just think that this one's objectively superior in every way.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
Going into a situation with like 15 enemies in Watch Dogs 1 is going to feel more fun in my eyes than in Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 2, it didn't feel like, okay, again, because you'd be interacting with the environment in Watch Dogs 1. There's an explosive barrel, or not a barrel, but like there's an explosive on the wall. Initiate, blow up one guy who has grenades on him, which lands on the next guy, the grenades go off, killing him. You know, another guy gets distracted, turns, so you pull up, you shoot that guy in the head, and while everyone's distracted with the big ass explosion, you run up behind the next guy, and you fucking beat him with a baton, while you go up to the guy next to him, and you shoot him in the head. It's fun. It feels like...
That's... Why, you know about, like, shooting him in the head? Okay. I think all of that could happen in Watch Dogs 2, actually, except from the baton, because you got a ball thing, and also there's no finishing moves in Watch Dogs 2. That obviously,
which I
because
hate.
the integration to more multiplayer oriented, I guess, and more. I don't know. The one thing they've done is they focus on multiplayer, but also they want it at fast pace. You can get it with the vehicle handling. They made it so much easier to handle a vehicle, like as in it's now.
I forgot to talk about that. I guess we can talk about that now. Yeah, the vehicle handling in Watch Dogs 2 is better.
Yeah, but the thing is, they made it too easy, in my opinion. I like the first one, how it reacted in that, because it was actually a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I liked it because it's more of a challenge, and you drifted way more. Like, as in, the second one, as in, it's so easy, because what they're doing now is they want to make it fast-paced. That's where you got the whole Batman vision mode, where you can see through everything.
Which I
and
hate.
You can, like... I don't mind that. I guess it suits it, because it's more of a fast-paced game. It's more of a technological... oriented where it's okay, you've got all these gizmos and gadgets, do what you want. You can go in like with little wheelie guy, do the whole mission with just that. But the thing is, with the cars especially, right, you'll notice in the second one when you play it, you can spin it around, do a 90-degree, right, spin it around, and then you can face the cops behind you easily, and then you can just spin back, as opposed to the first one where you're like trying to compensate for, like, you know, oversteer or understeer and things like that. But yeah, I think the first one, though, in terms of gameplay, I do like the driving of like, I don't know, because they're both different. Again, I think, but yeah, just exclusively talking about the first one now. Again, if I get sidetracked, I do like the driving, and I do like that kind of thing, stuff, and the hacking as well. I think that worked well. But yeah, gunplay, I do like. But again, it's Watch Dogs. Gunplay it's obviously never going to be a strong suit, but I did like the gunplay for the first one.
I'm sorry,
It's a shame you can't 3D print them.
Did you say Watch Dogs, the gunplay is never going to be a strong suit?
No, like as in like the key strong suit, like as in this game's renowned for gunplay, you know? Obviously, like it works well, and the gunplay is very good, but obviously because... Well, number one, because it's a niche game, but secondly, because it's not notorious for gunplay. Like, it's going to be notorious for hacking and cool things like that. But that's the thing, it was very underplayed as the gunplay in the first one, which I
If
did
you
like.
were
There was
looking
more...
for a gunplay Ubisoft game, yeah, no, I
You would
wouldn't
look
go.
for it, but the thing is, it is a very good game for gunplay. Like, as in the recoil for guns and the kicks for them,
Dude,
is mint.
I've never played a game that made it feel like sniping with a pistol was actually stupid as it is in real life. Because you okay, so first I do want to say one of the worst things about this game is that it gives you a silenced 1911 at the start, which is the most broken fucking gun in the game. You can complete every single situation in the game with that gun. However, it has no range, which I like, because pistols don't have fucking range in real life. This is something I hate about shit like Halo Infinite with the goddamn sidekick. Right?
You go 5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how I feel at Halo Infinite. Anyways, like, you get these situations where you get this pistol in a game, right? And you aim over here, and there's a guy like 15 miles away, and you put the crosshair on his head, right? And you click the trigger, and it goes boom, hits him in the head,
Sounds like
kills him
Halo
instantly.
CE to me.
Well, Halo CE is different. That game was never supposed to be taken that seriously. Plus, I just
Halo
love Halo.
CE was a 2001 game, alright? We can forgive them.
The aliens, man.
Plus, you can argue that because the Magnum's a hand cannon, and you're never really in a situation where... Actually, most of the time, bloom would make your bullets not hit. So yeah, Halo's actually... Except for Halo Infinite.
And it's the future internet.
Well, yeah, but more importantly,
Well,
the
yeah,
Magnum
bro.
and
Like
Halo.
in the future, the Magnum it's just got like 5,000 yards of range, bro.
Anyways, back to what I was saying, it's in Watch Dogs, you fucking you shoot someone with you shoot someone with a pistol, not the Magnum. You shoot someone with a pistol, right? And the bullet's not gonna fucking hit him. It goes fucking flying because you're too far away, which incentivizes you to get closer, which gives this feeling. It's almost like it feels like a John Wick game. It's really cool when you start getting it because sometimes it's like the game kind of has this cover system that honestly could be way better. You'll run into cover. It works in some places where you'll run into cover and then you start pop shooting. And it's like, wow, this, and I've heard people say this, they're like, the combat in this game is bad. You know, it's generic Ubisoft schlop because all you do is you keep popping in and out of cover. And it's like, if you're doing that,
Just
you're intentionally playing the
that's
game
just
wrong. There's just no way the game gives
there's
you
different ways you can
tools.
play it.
Yeah, the game gives you fucking tools to get up close and personal. Like, the game really, honestly, there's some parts where the game feels borderline like an immersive sim because of how many options you have. Do you know what an immersive sim is?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
Okay.
good question actually. Well, that's a bit like have you ever played Onward? It's a VR game. You've got no hood.
Heard of Onward, but
You've got no hood or anything. It's just purely just tactical. That's like a immersive sim, isn't it? Which is completely just no hood half the time, and it's just
The military one. Yeah, I've seen this. I've
yeah.
never played
Is
it.
that immersive sim? Is that what you mean?
No.
Oh, I don't know.
no,
Then.
you mean something a bit different, yeah.
Yeah, an immersive sim is basically a
I've heard him
game.
talk about it before.
Yeah, it's a kind of a dying genre. You don't really see many games come out for it. The entire idea is the game has like massive levels. They're not open world, but they're like mini open worlds. Like for example, a big
Halo CE.
hotel. No, there's a big difference because Halo CE, for as much as I love that game, it is very linear in comparison, at least.
Oh yeah.
Think the silent cartographer from Halo CE, right? You know, that big island. Imagine that, but the only thing the game told you is that you had to get to the middle of the map. And there's like 14 different ways to get to it. That's kind of like an immersive sim. You got this big area that you can explore.
Well, that is basically Onward. That is basically Onward.
Well, no. Onwards is a multiplayer tactical FPS, right?
Well, it can be, but you can also do like solo missions and things where it's like just
That's the difference. So I'm trying to think of a way to. So immersive sim is basically a game that is designed around the idea of a single level having as many routes as possible to achieve your objective, and it's almost all. I don't think there's ever been an immersive sim that's actually multiplayer because that would kind of break it a little bit. Because it's handcrafted in a way.
Ghost Recon wouldn't be like that, would it? So
No.
what would that be?
That would just be a tactical FPS. You can still go into situations like it's kind of like that. Think about it like that, but it's more like intentional because Ghost Recon's kind of like just we'll give you a bunch of tools and we have this open base, figure it out, right? Whereas an immersive sim is handcrafted to encourage creativity. For example, let's say you see a vent up here, but it's a little too tall for you to get to it. Well, the mission before you got an upgrade to get extendo legs. So you extend up to the vent, break it open, you climb in. That would be something like that. I know it sounds goofy, but it's true. You get like upgrades and shit that would allow you to interact with the world more and
I know
more.
it sounds goofy, but it's true. True story, man. It actually happened.
It's true. Yeah, I actually extendo legs. I do have extendo legs. But yeah,
bought
so
them off Amazon.
yeah, Jeff Bezos has control over my legs. At least that's what I told the orphan I kicked in the face. Anyways, so yeah, it's kind of like that. Where in Watch Dogs, like for example, there's one mission, and I know I'm kind of again touching on story, which we'll get back to in a minute. There's one part in Watch Dogs where you're trying to make a getaway from basically a massive, trying to think. Auction. We'll say that, and then we'll talk more about that when we get to the story. There's a massive auction. You're trying to make a getaway. You've just gotten seen, so now a bunch of these fucking super heavily armed guards are looking for you. Now you have so many options when you get to one of these areas. So you could either go left, which is going to have more enemies. You know, it's more direct, and there's a heavy armored guy there. Or you can go right, which is a more stealthy approach. There's only fewer enemies, but it's hard to get to. There's less cover overall, and honestly, it's like there's just less, choices to kill people if you go through that way. So you can mix and match. You have this thing called a blackout, which turns off all the lights and everything in the area, and then, excuse me, you can run up to people. You can take them out really quick. You can throw grenades and take out like a massive group of enemies. There's little explosives down like the walls and stuff that you can detonate to kill people. There's cover that you can have
Is that
come up.
Sorry to interrupt. The blackout thing, is that the same one is it the same function as the one I was using when we were playing Watch Dogs 2 for that bit?
Yeah. Does it turn off like all like the cities and everything around it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the same, because I can't remember using blackout in the first one.
Yeah, it really, again, it's something that the game I actually kind of like. The game doesn't tell you that you can play it super aggressively if you want to, which I do. I love playing that game aggressively. It's more fun.
Yeah, because when I was a kid, I was like, hacking, no.
Yeah, you just
shoot.
I'm just gonna stay behind cover. I'm gonna shoot them whenever it's like it's lame. Whereas if you play it right, you have all the tools at your at your disposal, and it just says go kill those guys. So you can for example, you can like chuck an IED at someone and then shoot it midair, and while like one of the guys react to his buddy getting blown up, you can then toss a grenade underneath his car, blowing it up, causing the car to flip onto another guy. And while this guy starts shooting at you, so you can click a fucking button to have some cover come up and slap him over in the crotch so he falls over for a second, which you can dealing the killing blow, and then you can charge up to the next guy with your baton and knock him out. It's super, super cool. Or you can play it a stealth approach. You can use the blackout tool. You can use little doodads across the room. You don't even have to kill anyone in the game. You can go through most of the game without killing a single person. Not the whole game. You can go through most of it just using your baton. It's really, really cool. You can play like basically a non-lethal fucking character in the game. It's so good. And like, oh god, dude, it's such a fucking great combat system. Legitimately one of the best third-person shooter combat systems in my opinion.
It's just absolutely so easy in so many games to promote a more passive, a more cautious, approach. It is so easy to reward players for being cautious. Rewarding players for being aggressive is a much harder thing to do. So if they did that successfully and you vouch for them, then fucking hell, yeah, it must be good.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's way too easy, and that's to be fair, I do think that's something that the game struggles with a little bit. It gets better later on. I would say it really does start to introduce more things as you progress through the game. But one of the only things I can say is, as I said earlier, it's like the game. It does incentivize you a little bit, but it doesn't tell you it incentivizes you. That makes sense. You have to start doing it to realize you're being clued in to do it. You know what I mean? Like, you'll realize if you start playing more aggressively, it's going to be harder at first. You're going to be missing shots because the game does feel a little clunky, but it's in a good way. It feels unique. So you'll be going to situations, you'll be blowing through fucking guys, and you slowly start to realize, I'm getting more ammo, I'm getting more shit for this. Which, by the way, there's no reason to go to a gun store in the game after a certain point. I bought the generic assault rifle and then the starting pistol you already have, so you never have to go there, besides when the game forces you to, which I think is funny. But anyways, it's like you go through and you're blasting through these fucking people, and just you start to realize, holy shit, I'm getting through these sequences easier, I'm getting through them, I'm getting better at the game. Right? I'm killing these guys more efficiently and faster. It's just everything goes by better and smoother for you if you just do that. Whereas, you sit back behind cover and the game's boring and repetitive, and that's probably another reason why people just shit on the game.
No, yeah, I'm pretty sure we mentioned this actually on stream, that you had you'd seen people complain that it was boring and repetitive. And
Yes.
I made the point of saying it's only boring and repetitive if you let it be boring and repetitive. If you let it be like that, because it gives you more than enough tools for it to not be like that.
Yeah, which is
you just have to actually make use of them.
That's kind of what that's perfectly how to describe it even now. The game, you can play it more passively, sitting back, going by the numbers, and it's boring. It sucks ass when you do that. But if you actually sit down and engage with this fucking combat, you'll have a blast. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I think one thing though at Ubisoft, as much as we shit on the environments and things, the one thing they've always done well, I personally, in the Far Cry games, in Watch Dogs, whatever, It's just like I know obviously they're renowned for the little base takeovers things and things like that, but they do well with the whole stealth systems, and like not just that, but like kind of interacting with the environment in a way of the combat systems, especially for stealth and whatnot. Maybe not so much stealth for Far Cry and things like that because it's mostly just run and gun. But again, it's combat systems have always worked well with Ubisoft. I personally think. I don't know if there's any other games with exceptions, apart from AC1, which is a bit, and AC2, they were a bit, but like most
Yeah.
recent games, I don't know. I did hate on Breakpoint, but apparently now Pertlight's saying it's good, so I don't know. And now I'm confused. But that was like the only one I really had a grudge. I actually know the Division actually, but yeah, actually, you know what? Forget about my whole previous statement. That never happened. All right. Watch Dogs 1, cool game.
I would say I don't know. I don't remember them having a whole lot of. I mean, besides hiding in things, did Assassin's Creed have a lot of interaction with the environment for like even just like stealth and combat? Besides hiding in things,
Let me think.
because
No.
because I always thought it was just like you had tools, like you had like the darts and everything, the poison darts and stuff, but
You had
And
tools, but you didn't really.
You never really-
I think the only thing you could do with the environment is cutting bell alarms, and that's it. So.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's why.
put a ship naval combat, and you could throw barrels to the side, and you could shoot them down, ram the hole. You could take over and plunder all that loot, and then you could go shark hunting 2 seconds later if you feel like it before you go back to Susan.
You sound like a Ubisoft actor during the presentations. You're like, dude, hey, I'm gonna go plunder the ship really quick. Cover me. And then the next guy says, I had sexual intercourse with your wife. I'm really sorry. Really sorry, Bobby. He's like, that's not part of the script. What are you talking?
And then Bobby just goes, send them to the brig. And
Send them to the brig.
And they start just poking him in the brig, and then they play sea shanties, and most likely, Amazing Grace as the ship sinks.
And then it's Captain Price. The silo doors are open.
Don't go in all the soap. You'll dissolve.
So yeah, I think I just Watch Dogs really slaps with how you can interact with the environment, how it
Actually-
interacts with gameplay and everything.
That's sorry, but that whole tangent has just given me one of the biggest, the thorn, in the side of Watch Dogs 1, the Achilles heel, which breaks the immersion of Watch Dogs 1. Talking about water, what is the system with the police in the water in that game? You can legit go on a boat, sail away, and the cops will go, forget about it. Forget about it. This is the windiest city in the world. You think we're going to chase you on the water? No, that's dangerous. Dangerous, man.
I'm gonna be honest. I've heard a
Whoa.
lot of people say shit about that, and yet never once throughout my entire stream playthrough did I ever actually want to get on the water. Besides one time, and that was to cross the river to get to an objective while the police were chasing after me. Never did I get into the water to cheap it because it's honestly way too fun to do that. Like this was another thing. I remember Angry Joe, because I used to watch Angry Joe a lot. He did a review of Watch Dogs, and he said at one point, he's like, "Oh, you could just get in the water and run away." And it's like, if you're doing that, you're genuinely
You're
at this
making it
point. It's like the
you guys were
combat. It's
saying.
like, I guarantee you played the combat the same way, where you're sitting at fucking cover, popping out and shooting people every once in a while. That's not you're actively choosing to play the game wrong at that point. Like that's not on the game.
Yeah.
You're exploiting it in a way that you're just intentionally trying not to have fun, and that's not fair to the fucking game. It's not.
You're doing this to yourself.
Exactly. It's really, really shitty. It pissed me off. Or it pisses me off now. At the time, I just took his word for it because I didn't play it. And then I played it like 2 years later. I was like, oh my god, what was I thinking? This is so good. But it's just like, dude, like, just specifically those... Yes?
No, I'm just thinking, wasn't there talking about the water, wasn't there like a Loch Ness Monster Easter egg in the water, like in one of the lakes, and then basically you have to have like a really early version of the game to actually have it? Was that Watch Dogs 1?
Yep.
Dude, yeah, I remember saw like a video of that when I was like a little kid. Like, dude, you need Easter eggs, because that's one thing Ubisoft always does. They litter their game. Now, this is actually going to be like a proper statement now, not like my stupid one about combat. This is true. They litter their games with Easter eggs. Okay, that's the one thing I can definitely say. They litter them with Easter eggs. So I used to always go, "Oh, new stuff open. Let's just have a look at these Easter egg hunting, but not really just watch videos about it and then try and find them in the game. And they you know, and then that little Nessie one I remember, and I'm like, there's no Nessie, but turns out you need the early version of it because apparently it's going to circle on a script, like a scripted path, and they took it out, so the script's still there, and you can have Nessie in the ground, but.
Yeah, you can actually like it even moves underwater if I remember correctly. Like if you were to go underneath the water, if you cheated the camera underneath the water, you could still see it moving. I think it literally there's just an Easter egg to trigger it so it comes above the water, but the animation still goes on if I remember correctly. But yeah, because people that's how they found it. They hacked into the game and they saw, which is ironic as hell. They hacked into the game.
Yeah,
and they saw
Same with the music, wasn't it?
That's not actually. You know, thank you for bringing that up. I want to talk about this because this fucking blew my mind, and I've been listening to the soundtrack because. Oh my god, the soundtrack's fucking amazing. We'll talk about it in the story. There's a good chunk of the soundtrack that plays throughout the game, right? That you cannot find. No one could find it. It wasn't released. It wasn't anywhere. And then people hacked into the game and you could find it. You had to hack into the game to find a massive chunk of the game's soundtrack. And I don't know if that was intentional or not. I hope it was intentional. I hope that was intentional, because that is the fucking coolest goddamn ironic fucking shit I've ever seen.
I'd like to believe. It is fun.
It's just so
Then
cool.
Aiden Pierce was like, it's time.
It's time we release the soundtrack, and the game soundtrack is so good. It literally it integrates the electronic fucking, you know, dubstep-esque feel of the modern 2013s, 2014s. While also having this nice noir, jazzy undertone. And it's so good, dude. Oh my god. Speaking of the music, I think this actually might be a good transition to the story.
No, you're incorrect.
Hey, you won't be able to replicate it. That was like perfect monkey tone.
That was really
play
perfect.
it again right now.
Thank you, Pulf. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Sylas, for making.
Oh, this is really weird. Every time I say Pulf, do that. Why'd you keep looking down for some reason? I don't know why.
What
Disappointment.
Yeah.
Every time I say, hey, Pulf, can you do this? You keep looking down for some reason. That's kind of sus, man.
Are you trying to insinuate that Pulf's underneath my table giving me head right now? Because if so, I really don't appreciate that, because that's not true.
Pulp would never.
Hey, good.
Fucking. Sorry. I hit my
Wait, then who's
table.
That is not how we pay Pulp.
Wait a minute. Whose lips are wrapped around my wiener? I knew I didn't recognize that voice.
Dude's been hungry for a while. This is how he gets his nutrients.
Jeez.
Speaking of nutrients, so yeah, Watch Dogs 1's story is like horrifically underrated, and everyone hates on it way too much because it's actually god tier.
Oh yeah.
That had nothing to do with nutrients. You lied to me.
Because I already like they looked at. Because even me when I was a kid, I want to be honest, with you, I was the same. They're like confusing. So many subplots, and it's like you meet a cool Asian guy at the start of the game. He bad now, and it's like wow, no.
Wow.
But like you realize Aiden was also bad, and then the old Gramps is like, hey man, I put the hit on you in the first place, lol. I killed your niece, and you're like. Because your niece is dead, you know that happened. Little bunny. Okay, actually no. The one thing with the story though, I love the cinematics, and you know, I think just the styling of it. Same with the second one. I just love the cinematics and the animations. Just the aesthetic. It's just
the aesthetic of the first game is fucking amazing, and I love the cutscene where Aiden loses his niece because of how it's shown with all the glitches and artifacting. It looks cool, but the music,
yeah,
dude,
like it really made like funny.
What'd you just say?
Like it made it just like way more poignant and like kind of sad.
He said funny, right? You're not gonna gaslight me.
He definitely said funny.
I heard. I was like, how's it funny? Anyway, so. No, it's genuinely it's almost a gut wrenching scene. It's really good.
It's not funny when like people like die and shit.
Yeah, like come on, man.
Got me there, man.
My first it was actually a Rabbids Easter egg when her bunny fell out of the car.
Oh yeah, we have to have the rabbits in the
game.
game. They come out and they grab Aiden Pierce, they tickle him and go,
What?
because that's all the rabbits do. They just scream, and that's so funny, right?
Wait,
I love the rabbits.
isn't there that
Am I
one
wrong?
inside
Dog
his
started
niece's
whining.
house?
My dog got scared from my scream.
I'm not surprised.
I'm
You know,
sorry, Marley.
but do you know the when you go around your niece's house like at the start of the game when you miss the party or whatever? Isn't there like a little rabbit thing there, like in one of her room or something? You can see.
Yep.
And if you press it, it like just goes and like goes all red eyes and nibbles off your
Yeah,
foreskin.
and it gets
Yeah.
very angry with you because you had the audacity.
It goes down
And then nibbles off
Aiden's
his foreskin.
pants and starts licking his foreskin.
Stay
yeah.
away from me and my family.
I really like the game.
What
I
is that
will
what
say,
the rabbit says after he licks?
yeah.
Stay away from my family.
I think the first third of Watch Dogs 1 story is not that great. It's mid. It's mid.
Is
And,
fucking
like-
Marley okay? Like,
She
Yeah,
wants
you're
attention. She's a dickhead sometimes.
oh,
Hey girl.
oh, little dickhead.
Oh, you're such a good girl. Thank you for the kisses. I appreciate it. You're a good girl. So the first third of the story is pretty iffy.
Mm.
It starts off with
Oh, the
Damien.
opening scenes is pretty cool.
The what?
The opening like section sequences are pretty sick.
What do you want, Marley? Can you go away and record it? Go away. No, go.
Go away.
Go away. Go. She just wants me to scratch her butt. So yeah, the game starts off, right? And you have this sequence where Aiden and Damien, who are partner pals, they're partner pen pals, they're inside this massive, really rich bank. They plan on, getting some money and then getting out. And how it works is Aiden goes in with his phone, hacks into the system, and Damien does all the work, right? Makes sense, whatever. And then as Damien's pulling the money out, all they need to do is pull the money. They look, and lo and behold, they see another hacker. Someone's hacking in to as it's called, the Merlot. That's what the place is called. And Damien, instead of just getting the money so they can fucking leave, decides to go and find out who the hacker is. And as they're trying to find the hacker, the system starts freaking out because there's two people hacking in. Obviously, that's pretty bad. So it starts tracking both their IPs of everyone involved. And then Aiden's like, this is fucking scary. Cops are starting to side-eye me. I'm going to get out of here. So he skedaddles, right? And Damien's pissed off. And then they don't talk anymore because of it. Because they didn't get the money. And what ends up happening, a hit crew is sent out. They break Damien's legs. Or they break one of his legs. Permanently broken. And then they go after Aiden while he's driving his niece and his nephew to like a park or something, right? It's just a nice day out. And as they're driving, two armed gunmen drive up to the car and shoot it, just trying to shoot out the tires just to scare him. And they end up hitting his niece, causing the car to flip,
Yeah.
killing her in the process, and leaving him a very, very vengeful man. And then the game starts up with like a little while later, and he has the gunman at a stadium, right? And he's like, give me a name. And the guy's like, I can't, they'll kill me. He's like, I'll kill you. And it's whatever. It's just generic slop. And the game kind of goes on with this kind of just like, oh, whatever. Aiden gets, contacted by Damien. Aiden's just trying to find out who did it. And then you got like three different subplots that slowly start coming together. And it's like, what's going on? And then Aiden meets Clara, who goes by Bad Boy. But it turns out,
reference.
yeah, DedSec representative reference, that character. She's super hot. And what ends up happening is she's like, hey, we need to meet in person. So Aiden doesn't know it's a chick, right? And then they meet up, and Aiden's clearly immediately turned on and is like totally flirting with her. It's cute, it's whatever. Aiden's never been happy, so when you see him happy, it's kind of like, oh, that's adorable. And so as the game continues, eventually,
Hope nothing bad happens to her.
yeah, I hope nothing bad happens. And then like this entire point, and then eventually Damien's pissed off at Aiden for not wanting to meet up with him so that they can go find the person who did all this shit to them, because he wants answers too. Aiden said fuck you, and then in response Damien kidnaps Aiden's sister, who now only has a nephew because Aiden technically in a way led to her daughter's death and his nephew or his niece's death. So she obviously they have a little bit of a weird relationship there. She still cares about Aiden, but you know, a little mad. Anyways, Damon kidnaps her, and then you know, it's like this kind of like just generic like revenge plot kind of thing. It's going by the numbers, by the books. You're just like, okay, whatever. Now I gotta go save my sister. You know, I can see, you know, nobody knows that Aiden's the fucking vigilante despite him wearing this exact same outfit as the vigilante on the news. Literally the exact same 1-to-1. And you're going through and you're like, this is like the most generic shit, right? Then, you know, Aiden's apartment gets destroyed. That's like the first part where it's like, oh, that's a little new. But it's like, whatever, you know, I can see that coming, right? So his apartment gets fucking blown up like it's 9/11 2 Electric Boogaloo while Clara's there. So Aiden saves Clara and they decide to meet up, in which Aiden's pissed and Clara just wants to help him. And what ends up happening is they go to this place where it's an abandoned CTOS building. And it is one of the coolest sequences in the game, in my opinion, because it's a nice little puzzle where you're just trying to like solve how to get to a power box, turn everything back on this massive abandoned Bloom building, which basically controls everything in the city data-wise, right? You can turn on cameras, you can interact with all these things, all this information, which is why they want it. And it plays like this really beautiful track. It's really beautiful track, and every time you switch on a new power box, the track gets bigger. You know, you hear more instruments coming in. It's a really nice, beautiful song. It sounds wonderful, and and Aiden sounds happy for like the first time in the game, just to be able to talk to Clara and do all this shit. He feels like he's finally like on his own in a way, and it's a really beautiful scene. He gets into there, and then this is where I think right about where the second act ends. Just about this point. So this entire like first part of the game is just not that great. It's kind of by the books. They're like, oh, of course they find some ancient fucking building. Aiden's still this edgy tool, you know, unlikable asshole who just like lets civilians die because he needs it to save his sister. He's just whatever. It's generic slop, you know, generic slop. Then Aiden goes to the fucking hood, and he meets a guy named Bedbug, who's a 19-year-old who calls himself Bedbug.
Best name ever.
Yeah, and Brody, do you want to tell the audience why he's called Bedbug?
He's called Bedbug because he gets in all the ladies' beds.
And it's funny. I like that. It's cute. It's because he's a 19-year-old. He want to be gangster. Bite. Yeah, he tells his grandma that. You hack into their phone and you hear him tell that to his grandma.
He tells his grandmother.
His grandma's really upset and is like, I raised you better. And it's clearly a 40-year-old white guy like doing the voice of this grandma, which is hilarious. I raised you better than that. And it's just like, whatever, grandma. Fuck you, bitch. I'll kill you, stupid hoe. He doesn't actually say that.
I ain't in your bed, I'll tell you that much.
So, yeah, so it's just like little shit like that, you know?
Yeah, I like Bedbug.
And yeah, so you know, that's cool. I like that. I like that the game, or not the game, or yeah, the game. Fuck, I'm an idiot. I like that the game, you know, has a moment where Aiden goes to the hood as a white guy. You know, really cool, really representative. And he ends up finding out the guy in this hood area is the guy who actually hacked in to the Merlot all those years ago. All those years, like although you know, a while ago, he found him. And then the reason why this guy, the guy who hacked in, has terabytes of information on like basically everyone in Chicago, all the blackmail you can imagine. And all Aiden has to do after getting this is give it to Damien and he'll get his sister back, right? And some stuff, then this is where the game really gets good. Like that entire sequence was like, this is interesting. All right, it's not going where I thought it was going. This is where the game gets really good. So when you're there, you see this video. It's like a very distorted video of a woman with red hair, right? You're like, what the hell's going on with that? And as the game continues, you're trying to solve this mystery while also trying to get your sister back. And it's like these three plots that are off in their own directions. You don't see how they can correlate whatsoever. And then right at this point, at like the midway point of the game, they clash. Every single subplot immediately starts to come together, right? You're realizing all this shit left and right. You're seeing all this stuff. So you go and meet this old hacker so you can get all this data back into shape. You know, and T-Bone is his name, and he's this redneck, and he's one of the best characters. Actually, every character in this game is fucking great, which we'll get to after I done with the recap. And so it's like, he meets T-Bone. T-Bone helps him decrypt everything after a short scuffle in which they learn to be friends, which is fucking amazing. Again, I love T-Bone. T-Bone's awesome. And as the game continues, they end up, they see all this data, and what ends up happening is they end up getting screwed over by this dickhead named Default. He's another hacker who's basically just Deadmau5, but he's not Deadmau5. He's a rat instead of a mouse.
Dead rat.
Yeah. Wait, Deadmau5, is that's a guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I thought I got his name wrong for a second there. That blew me off. Yeah, I was like, what the fuck am I thinking?
Music person.
Yeah, it's basically him. So you chase this guy down, and there's a really cool chase scene where the guy, because he's a hacker too, he's using the CTOS against you. And, you have these barriers coming up that you have to swerve around. It's a really cool sequence. I love it. It's really awesome. And then you finally kill him. And fuck that guy. I blasted him to high hell because he was pissing me off after all that goddamn time. Because he called the police on me and everything. I was so mad. Finally killed the bastard. And what ends up happening is you get these, it's like, okay, I got him. So you have to go install Damien right before this, in which Damien basically reveals to the world that Aiden Pierce is the vigilante. Which is cool. It's groovy. And as this is going on, eventually you end up finding... what happens next? I'm trying to remember everything. I just played through this all last night. So he reveals to the world that Aiden Pierce... So everyone starts calling the cops, in which you've got to go and stop the guy who's broadcasting this to the news. And it's a really cool chase sequence because immediately the cops are after you, and it's like he's playing this really awesome music. It's like this fucking, as I said before, it's like electric jazz. It sounds so fucking good. The music in this game is god tier. It's amazing. And you're trying to get out of the way from the police. You chase on this van, you destroy the van, you kill the guy inside because he's working with Damien. And then Damien's like, if you don't get me this goddamn hard drive, I'm just gonna kill your sister. It's like, just straight up, I'm gonna kill your sister. So Damien's like, okay, big man, fuck you. And he saves his sister. He finally finds out where she is. And after that, he saves his sister. He sees all this data that's coming in. They finally got all the data. And he's like, you know what? And he finds the answer to who basically killed his niece. He finds out. And it's this old fart that you meet earlier in the game called Lucky Quinn. It's a really old pedophile looking motherfucker who runs a... there's a really cool sequence where you go through and stop a human trafficking ring, which is, God, that made me hate Lucky Quinn even more. It's just, that scene is just, there's a part, because you can hack into cameras and stuff, there's a part when you're in this human trafficking ring where you look through a camera and you see a guy who just got done having sex with one of these girls and she's just crying on the bed and that's it. And it's the most depressing shit. The game has a lot of moments.
She's just there crying, and you can see like the number on the back of her neck.
It was the number. Because in the game there's a thing called a profiler. As you look at people's faces on the cameras and stuff, it'll tell you a little information. Her name was like 011010, and then her fucking first name. Because they took away her last name, and that is the most depressing shit I've ever seen. Like, that is fucking horrifying. But you stop it, whatever, and then now you finally get to have your revenge. There's this really cool sequence where you're chasing him down, and as you're going through, you keep seeing things about how, and by the way, to clarify, right before he goes to confront this guy, he finds out that Clara, this sexy hacker girl that he's been hanging out with this whole time, that he's clearly been crushing over, wants to be with her. He finds out that she was the one who found Aiden and Damien and gave the information to Lucky Quinn to call the hit.
Yeah.
And Aiden is clearly hurt and pissed off by this because she knew this whole time that Aiden and Damien were the targets. And so she leaves feeling bad. She calls you up with a vague message saying, I'm sorry, I hope I can make this right. And it's like, that's weird. And then you find all these emails while you're trying to chase down Lucky Quinn about, Clara and how they're going to have to take her out now because she said too much. And you're like, oh God, I got to hurry up and kill this Lucky Quinn guy. And so you get this moment where Aiden at this point has lost everything. He saved his sister and nephew, but he had to send them away, and he can never learn their location to, protect them, right? It's a really fucking sad scene that actually almost got a tear out of me. Like, it was really good, because his sister basically looks at him and says, all throughout my childhood, you always thought I was just annoying you, but I always just wanted to hang out with my big brother. Because I always looked up to you.
Yeah.
And I always just wanted to hang out with you, but you never wanted to hang out with me. And,
And
You
now
know.
now we never can.
And the word she used was and then eventually now I just wanted you to look back and see me. Like, I don't even care if you want to hang out with me. I just wanted you to see me. And it's like, dude, that fucking hurt. That hit me in the gut. That was
Yeah.
such a well acted and well written scene. So good. And so, whatever. So he has
Well, they
nothing
actually,
left.
like, wrote something correctly.
I know, it's surprising,
Okay.
right? And he goes into this. He finds Lucky Quinn after killing basically all of these fucking guys. Lucky Quinn's in this bulletproof room, no way to get in and out, and Aiden basically just turns off his little heart device thing that he has because CTOS is connected to it. He just turns it off and gives the guy a heart attack. And as the guy's dying, he's like, "You know what's funny? We didn't even we thought you were after this video, and the whole reason this started. This is the big reveal. You want to know why he was hit for this job? Not for stealing money. No, it's because
Isn't
they
that this
thought.
government thing?
What's that?
Isn't that a government type thing or whatever it was?
So Lucky Quinn had a video file of the mayor of the city of Chicago brutally murdering basically a woman that Bloom or CTOS wanted to get rid of. This random woman, she was the red-haired woman. This random woman who basically had nothing to do with the entire story. And the only reason that this happened was because the other hacker, Iraq, the guy who you killed earlier, the guy who caused basically all of this, because he's the one that Damien went after during that whole Merlot job to begin with. He was trying to find blackmail on Lucky Quinn.
That's why it was Bedbug you wanted to do that.
No. Bedbug was just working with Iraq.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's this moment of like, this was fucking worthless. All of this over nothing. And then finally, you click the heart thing again and you kill Lucky Quinn. You give him a heart attack. And you're in Aiden's like, I thought I'd feel empty, I want to say I'd feel empty, but I feel more alive than ever. And it's kind of this really dark scene of Aiden being like, I finally feel like I can be myself. After all of these years, I finally feel the real me. And it's like, this guy's a psychopath. This guy's not the hero.
But he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the point of the fucking game, but we'll get to that at the end. He realizes, oh my god, that was the most amazing feeling I've ever felt. I've never been happier. And he's like,
I'm not honestly surprised knowing the amount of shit that he's been through. That would probably feel quite satisfying, yeah. Anything's better than everything else he's gone through,
I'd become a psychopath, yeah, absolutely. So what ends up happening is after he does that, be psychopath in it, bro. Any psychopath. What ends up happening is basically Damien calls up Aiden and was like, "Hey, I told you not to fuck with me, by the way, dickhead. Kill yourself." And then he clearly alludes to Clara, and so Aiden drives up to Clara, who's in the funeral, and it's this really, really nicely shot scene where he's running up to her saying, "Clara," in this funeral, or not funeral, in this graveyard. And she's leaving flowers by his niece's grave, which it's revealed in this moment that, because at the beginning of the game, there's like a fucking, like a flashback cutscene where Aiden and his sister are, grieving. And she's trying to tell Aiden to let it go and to not, seek revenge because that's what started all this in the first place. Like, just let it go, please. And he's like, and then she mentions, like, they don't know who keeps leaving the flowers. And it's revealed that Clara was the one leaving the flowers. Yeah. And which is just so sad. But yeah, you basically go up, you kill all the guys in this really cool slow-mo shot where it's automatically slow-mo and you fucking have this pistol. You go boom, 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 boom. It's like Deadeye from Resident Evil. From fucking Red Dead. It's really cool. Resident Evil. And you kill all the guys, you go up to Clara and she's already dead. She got shot. And and then you listen to her.
Head yellow, bro.
And then you pick up this little you pick up her phone, which she left a voice log for you, saying that she wished that you guys could make up, and she didn't want any of this to happen, and now she stopped chasing this life after this because she realized how much it hurt people.
Shouldn't have spoken to Mr. Quinn then, should
I'm
you?
not disagreeing, but it's just really sad because Aiden's like clearly upset. He goes back and he's like, you know what? He goes back to Bloom. He's like, you know what? Fuck Damien. I've got nothing left to lose. Fuck this shit. And he leaks all of the blackmail that he got from Iraq's computer, all of it. Every single last spec, he uploads it online. And it's this really cool shot with really good music. And then Damien's like, hey, yo, you fucking bitch. You shouldn't have done that. Now you're going to regret that. And then he reveals that he's in CTOS. Not just like hacked in. He controls all of CTOS and tries to kill you. As you're racing around the city, you have to cause a blackout to stop him from like doing any more harm to innocent people. Because he's like, yeah, I'm going to just start killing everyone. Fuck it. I'm done with this shit. Fuck everyone, right? Because I've lost everything. I've lost my bargaining chips. I'm just going to use CTOS and commit a mass terrorist attack. So Aiden has to go to the Bloom Tower. He turns off the power to the entire city. Completely blackout. It's a cool moment. You go to a lighthouse, and there's a final encounter in which you finally kill Damien. In which Aiden has this monologue about, you know what, I realized throughout all of this. Like, and you can see this through the game. He has a little bit of a character development as you play through. He's like, you know, this was all for my sister, but now I basically realized that I now have all this power to control CTOS. I'm the only one who can. I'm going to basically be the hero that the city deserves, and I will punish those who step out of line, which is kind of a really dark line, but it's cool. I like it. It's like the Punisher. It's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
He goes from being
up.
Yeah, he goes from being Batman to being Punisher, which is, it's not a good thing necessarily, but it's a cool thing nonetheless. You know, it's neat. I like that. It's a cool character development. It's not the usual, I'm a good guy now after everything I've been through. It's kind of the exact opposite, if anything. He realizes that, you know what?
Just Rorschach at this point.
Honestly, yeah, a little bit. It's cool because it's badass. I like that. And then the final thing happens in the game, in which
this is deep fry one of the inmates.
Yep, he goes to deep fry one of the inmates. Yep.
And he says, "You think you're locked in here with me?
You think you're locked in here with me?" Or wait, no, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Yeah.
And then all the watchdogs get let loose, and then they
start telling time.
Yeah. And then it starts playing Who Let the Dogs Out.
The dogs even start watching and shit. It's amazing.
And the game ends on this really cool thing I've never seen another game do before, right? Really cool scene. You basically get to choose the path that Aiden goes down. You basically get to choose his character arc. Did he become a psychopathic killer after this and let power go to his head where he's like, you know what, fuck all you people, I get to control this now? And you're saying, you know, the guy who did who committed the hit, this guy you tortured at the beginning of the game, you have the final decision. Do you kill him or do you let him live? And you can kill him and continue this path of, you know, punishment, of killing those wrongdoers, of no forgiveness, or you can start a new path where Aiden realizes, you know what? I'm gonna do something with this power. I'm gonna help people, not kill. And you get to choose. And it's a really cool moment. What's that?
Why not just do both? Just kill and help, you know? Kill that one bloke, he was annoying.
Help.
You know, killed your little niece, but then also help some people and be like, hey, what's up? You know, you're cool, have some little buckaroos and you can go...
Sylas has some very interesting ideas about morality.
Yeah, man. Some people are gonna die, man. It's just life. Some people just don't... Punishment's not enough, you just need to kill them, off them. That, you know?
Murder.
Yeah. Might be a little too far. Favorite. But yeah, that's the entire story of Watch Dogs, horrifically summarized and chopped up. I cut out a bunch of shit because I'm trying to summarize it as quick as possible. Which still took me 30 minutes.
Yeah. But overall, Watch Dogs is a sick game. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I think, you know what? We need to start doing a rating system for games on this channel. We need some measurement system or some numerical...
we measure it based on how lethal it is.
Alright, well, lethal injection, alright? You got the syringe and you got, like, Pulp will give you a visual right now of a syringe and how far it's going to be filled up. And then it's going to get directly injected into your bloodstream. So
actually, I have a better idea.
No, you don't. Incorrect.
Let's just rate it out of how many lethal opinions we had for it. So, like, 15 is 15's really bad, but a 1 is really good.
No, I prefer my idea.
Fuck you. We're doing my idea. Fuck you guys. Put it on screen right now. How many lethal opinions do you guys give this game? Why are we doing this now? We haven't finished the summary. Like, we haven't like dissected the story. We're just talking. We just summarized it. We're only an hour and 19 minutes into this.
Well, you're shut up.
Probably quickly say something interesting.
What more
before
do we
keep
want to say
talking.
about Watch Dogs then? What more? What do we got to say, Phil?
I was just gonna say my
What's your
opinions
favorite
on the
dog
story.
breed?
Fuck off. Let's finish this at least. Jesus. Okay. So I think overall the story's great. I like how it starts off with this kind of boring hour and a half. That's just kind of like, this is fine, I guess. Not the best game, but it's okay.
You
It's
say
serviceable.
I like how it starts off with the boring.
Like, hear me out. Because it slips you into this false sense of like, I know what's gonna happen. You think you understand. Oh, this game's gonna play out. It's gonna be a fucking revenge story, and then it tricks you. It subverts your expectations. You start realizing that's not what this game's about. And then slowly it starts breaking down Aiden Pierce. You get all these cool things. Don't get me wrong. The story's beginning is a little too boring and kind of whatever. But I like how
that is the beginning somewhat good then, but is it still pretty bad? I'm confused.
overall,
Hitting me up with a double negative. I can't.
hang
my
on,
brain.
let me explain. The beginning of the game, the part that I talked about where I said it was meh, that part of the game is meh. But I appreciated being what it tried to do, which is intentionally being meh to a certain degree. Now it could have been better. There's some things about it that are just kind of like, okay, no, this is not intentional. You guys just kind of fucked this up.
So
right?
it's good slop.
I like the idea. I don't know how you're having trouble understanding this.
No, I understand what you mean, but so it's basically it was good slop. It could have been better slop, but it was good.
It's
slop.
decent slop. It's decent
Half
slop, not
decent
good slop. It's decent slop, but it's intentional slop. Because then it starts feeding you the delicious
It
golden
probably is.
dinner.
Yeah, so it probably is a good slop, because at the end of the day, it's still slop. So
Well, no, because there's
slop.
here we go. Good slop is slop that's intentionally like it knows what it is, and there's several parts of this introduction that like it feels like, okay, you guys just clearly fucked this up. Like this was not supposed to be, like this was just this is like just bad slop. You know what I mean? Overall, it's decent slop, which is why I say it. But anyways, so you get that, and then the game subverts your expectations, and it starts giving you like this plot that you don't expect, which is like the whole Damien taking control of the situation, in which Aiden's now this like little bitch boy who has to do everything he says. It's really cool, really badass, really awesome. And then you slowly start learning everything piece by piece, in which eventually, it's a noir. That's what I love about the game. Everyone talked about it being a revenge story. It's not a revenge story. It's noir. That's what it is. It's a detective story. You go into these situations. You're trying to solve a mystery. Fucking Aiden literally wears a trench coat and a hat in a big city that's corrupted by politicians, in which he meets a fucking dame who's not as she seems, in which there's a twist revealed later on that she's integral to the plot, in which she committed something bad, but still loves the protagonist, and there's a tragedy at the end, despite the fucking main detective getting, solving the mystery, getting what he wants, he still loses everything. He's still lost. That's a classic noir story. It's so good. I really, really liked it. So, my point in the music.
I like LA Noir.
Yeah, I've never played LA Noir, but I'm pretty sure I'd like that too.
I would
is
highly
there one
fucking
game with the
recommend it
meme
if you ever
face?
get the chance.
I heard too many. You said you'd highly recommend it, and Sylas said something and then immediately muted himself. What'd you say, Sylas? All right. Anyways, so yeah, the music. Fucking amazing. The story starts off a little rough, but you really do have to get through it, everyone, please. It's super, super good. A lot of good twists, a lot of good moments. Really, just overall, great game. Great game. And I really, really highly recommend it. There's a good couple of things that we left out here. And probably shouldn't have spoiled the story. Kind of feel like an idiot for doing that. But yeah. Anyways.
Correct. You are an idiot.
You're right.
Dumb fuck.
Oh, that's a bit rude.
Sylas, what are your thoughts on the story of Watch Dogs 1?
Really?
I like the story. I think it's good. I think, you know what, Ubisoft, you went for something different. You may have, you're digging for some gold. You may have hit some gas lines in the way, but you know what, at the end of the day, you still hit gold, and you know what? For that, I gotta commemorate them. They're good. They're good. It was a bumpy beginning because obviously they're probably figuring out, God, we could be like 3-dimensional and like have like and then just, like
Story.
it's like a toddler kind of learning like how to do things, motor skills, and then they're like, we can do this, and they're like, oh, it's too far now. We can't really fix the first half of the like third of the game. So now we're just gonna leave it, but like we're gonna make the second and third, thirds of the
Yeah.
game really good. So I think that I think in the bits what it excelled at, it was the more prominent features of the game. I think it was only kind of the minor details where they kind of lacked, and obviously you had again, this game came out, what was it, 2014 or whatever it was. It had its, what are they called, limitations with the technology, and not just that, but also limitations because it is Ubisoft at the end of the day. But music, however, yeah. Okay, now I can't even say that now because the Division. It's like music in most Ubisoft games are like banger tunes, Assassin's Creed, all that stuff, and but Division exists, and I can't remember one beat from that game. But yeah, I like it. Music's sick, atmosphere's sick, character's sick, story sick, and overall, as a game as a whole, including the whole game, I enjoy it thoroughly. I think it's one of those must-play games, and if you're gonna play it for like kind of one of those games where you invest everything into it because the story, I'm gonna invest everything, it's not gonna work. You can't play that way. You gotta kind of play it in a way of kind of you go in, you go, okay, this is gonna be a good story. Sure, there's not a good open world in that way. Open world in terms of interacting with the story and missions, perfect.
Yeah.
And open world is an open world, not good. But like again, if you had the mindset of, okay, I'm gonna play as a kind of more linear aspect where it's just missions and things like that, it's fun. It's great. I like it.
Brody, what are your final thoughts on the game story?
My final thoughts is that we need more games like it.
Whoa.
It's as simple as that. Because I've played too many fucking games now where just there's no stakes to anything in the story. We mentioned like the like remakes of I guess remakes of the Modern Warfare series. Now in the new Modern Warfare 2, like nobody dies. Soap doesn't. Soap doesn't die. But Ghost didn't die. No one dies. It's like that with Watch Dogs. You actually have you have an initial death that causes everything, the fucking like death of Aiden's niece, and then it leads to just more death. Bedbug fucking hits the road, Claire. Everybody there's stakes to it, and there's a genuine emotion that you feel at the end. And you talk about it yourself, like this moment when it's genuinely dark, where he's like, I kind of like, I should feel nothing, but I felt good. I feel alive.
Yeah.
There's emotion behind every single thing, and you actually get a fucking message out of the game. You feel like you've learned something or felt something.
You get sad. Because, like you said, the stakes.
Can we have more of that, please?
Because even the character T-Bone, like, that's a big stake, So, like, it's
Exactly. Give me more of that, please. For the love of God.
So, I think this is the final ratings. I'd give the game... I don't know. What would you guys give the game? Let's all come up with our own rating systems.
I rate it electric chair.
What does that even mean? Bro just said in terms of... Oh, because it's a lethal.
Because I'm doing my system because I'm better.
All right,
I don't know what.
I don't even know what that means. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
shockingly good. It's shockingly good.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a reference to an electric chair.
All right. All right.
Fuck off.
Sylas, what is your final rating for the game? Let's all come up with our own rating systems for this,
I think it would be about I don't even know what that's called, man. Why is my brain not working tonight? What's that called now? The writing for it's OZ. What's it called?
What
Am I
did you
stupid?
say?
OZ. Wait, ounce, ounce. 15 ounces of lethal injection. That's what I'd say. That's my. Paul, please do a diagram on the screen showing this visually for the audience.
I would give it exactly
Almost a pound.
out of 15
Pound.
lethal opinions, I would put
Pound.
out of 15 lethal opinions, 15 being bad, one being like perfect, I would have
God,
to
this
give
is
this game a solid like 5. Like it is really good.
Thing is, I can't even react to like how good or bad this is because I've already lost. I think the electric chair just threw me out. My brain, I can't comprehend any of these measurement systems. So it's a bit like when you're watching, like you're overhearing someone talking about a sporting event and you don't really follow that sport. You're like, oh my god, that sounds really, really good. Like, no, it's really bad. That's how I'm feeling right now. Like that, I don't know. That's a really good score. That could be really bad. I don't know. It's just
No, that's shit.
yeah.
Next
But a pound of
episode,
lethal injection though. Whew.
next episode, we're gonna be talking about all the Bionicle lore.
Oh, great.
Sylas just like, no, no, no! You talking about your game? We talking about Morgan!
This is evident, mate. This is evident.
Yeah, no, we're talking about Watch Dogs 2. So
we're gonna review
Actually,
Car
Brody,
Mechanic 2021.
Brody, don't you dare mention the game again. Brody, actually talking about that, while you got the talking stick, can you actually just, what are your thoughts on Watch Dogs 2? Like, just a rough one. Like, have you played it before? Give me some information about it.
Right, so basically,